Find something you love so much that you become obsessed with it, so you just keep on making videos, because it's about just putting it out there. Find a niche, but make sure it's authentic. Don't try to do something that doesn't feel natural. Something that you are genuinely obsessive about. Keep on shooting at the target until one hits.
Last year, I was lucky enough to meet one of my favourite filmmakers on YouTube. Someone who shares information in his own expressive and unique way, finds balance between academic text and adolescent foolery. This short film tells a story of how he creates, why he creates, and how you can benefit from finding that thing that you love so much it becomes an obsession and a reason to play. So, in Tom's words,
just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
How to begin? Just describe for me what your plans are for the video that we've been creating.
That's going to be called The Way of the Staff and Bow to Find the Flow. Again, flow is something pretty inevitable. Best way to describe it is the balance between anxiety and boredom. All humans experience these range of emotions. Flow is this engaging place that we find ourselves, and if we can sort of set up our mind to apply it to every task, from the exciting to the boring tasks, then we can basically live a more engaging, fulfilling life. At least that's what I believe. So the story, to make that exciting, the story is using two of mankind's oldest tools, a long straight stick and a bow and arrow. And I kind of feel that these really simple tools, that have been in our hands for as long as we've been human, pretty much, they tell the story quite well, and also because they're cool. So hopefully it keeps people interested. I've thought a lot about it, and looking at martial artists, martial masters from the East and West, philosophers and things, basically tying all these pieces together, I've summed up to like 3 principles that I believe, when implemented in perfect balance, you can feel a kind of flow in your life or in a task. So we're basically telling the story of that, how introducing these 3 principles, and yeah, don't know, does that make sense? Do we need these, Ben?
Oh yeah.
Alright. Take the giblets.
You feel better?
Feel safer. Still a break there. Yeah.
So when you're coming up with a choreograph scene like you are right now, is it almost like riffing and playing music that you just sort of, oh, that kind of sounds good, that works, that works all right, or do you have quite a set idea in mind already?
I like working with Tom because I think we can riff a little bit.
Yeah.
Like some folk just need to be given a pattern, but I think somehow when me and Tom are working, we can just slow things down, play with each other, and something kind of cool happens. And we both clock it, so something cool happens, we go, let's focus on that.
So the staff video, we had a bunch of styles. So, and Ben had done a lot of the research, especially the European side of things, in terms of what you see in the manuals. And pretty much on the day, we're like, all right, what do we do? Right, you do this, you do that. And then it just kind of worked.
What's the most enjoyable for you? What is it about coming up with something like this? Is it the enjoyment of coming up with your own idea, or is it actually what we're doing right now, where you literally just get to play with Ben and just kind of maybe not hit him, but
both. For me, it's like trying to, because I really don't feel like, well, all the staff stuff I do, it's just me alone in the woods with no opponent. So I'm learned, my brain is learning a million times faster just having someone, even if they're not trying to hit me, but just like, actual defense stuff. So I that's what I'm really enjoying. And the playful side, and that concentration, and how it looks, how's it feel, where's the flow, again, a little bit of flow.
what's kind of your inspiration?
It's mainly just
something I want to do. We're basically making videos that I want to see, that I would watch on YouTube. Ben asked me yesterday actually what was my favourite video this year to do. And they all had different things. Like I really enjoyed the expedition video, but actually the staff video was great because I felt like it made me live the life I want. So in the morning, I was writing and getting super in depth and being like really philosophical, and it was allowing me to kind of practice what I preach in terms of like meditating and becoming detached from life. But also I needed to be fit and good at the staff of the video. So I just felt like when I was writing it was just a really enjoyable time in my life because I was kind of living the life I wanted. And then I think for this video, I've got a song on the guitar and I'm going to record that. So that's like another thing that I like doing that I can all put into the same project and justify it as work, justify it as a job. 1, 2.
We'll use this video as an example. Take me through the steps and the process that you go through in creating one of your projects.
So yeah, it depends on the video, but for a video like this, I've always got a journal with me everywhere I go. I've got like one journal that's a bit like, what have I done every day? And then I've got another journal that I call Inspiration, Ideas and Insights. And it's a place to brain dump, somewhere that you don't care about the order or how messy or how illegible it is. So I can look back at that and then I sit down on my laptop and brain vomit in rough structures, intro, middle, end, and then just slowly piece it together over a period of however long I've given myself. I need to try have a reasonably good script before I start filming, but ultimately the script doesn't really come together till the very end. So I like to give myself a bit of wiggle room.
So when I was studying at uni, I was studying biology, and I did a course in my master's year about scientific communication, and we were taught hourglass shape. So you start off broad, and then you focus down to your point, and then you go back to the broad, the big picture. And I try and do most of my videos like that. If you look at most of my intros, I say like broad picture, bows and arrows are one of mankind's oldest weapons, lots of different designs of different cultures. What I'm interested in, I'm interested in this really small bow and arrow that I can put in my bedroll that can do all these things. I go test that out and then I put it back in the big picture. Like what? So it's like all my videos are kind of that shape.
So what's next?
So Ben and I, we're gonna do some sparring. We want to combine combat archery, shooting these at each other, but then also having a hand weapon. So it might not work in real life, but the idea is that we can shoot the bow, spent your arrows, then you can pull the slip knot and get your staff out without being tangled somehow.
And you've got something
To
at the
defend.
last minute. Okay.
It'd probably confuse your opponent just as much as it confused you. I like you
this in
doing
their
it.
face. Ah! So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Ready and action.
What for you was like a turning point with the channel?
Yeah, it was a Highlander series. I started that 2018, so as I said, I was doing that job in the Highlands. It was a sort of outdoor education job. So I was staying in a caravan with that amazing woods like right on my doorstep. So it was a perfect location. And I had a feeling it would be popular because I mean, I never watched Outlander or anything, but I knew it was a thing, and I knew that time period of Scotland was if people were interested in. So I just had the attitude of just put as much effort into it. And again, I think I didn't care that much about the views, how many people would watch it.
What you're talking about is very much getting away from technology, physically and mentally, being away from this kind of digital age.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that when actually what you're doing, the message you're portraying, is being put out on a digital forum?
On a platform. Yeah, no, good question. I have been finding the balance, to be honest. The end of 2018, the channel got big, and then that's when I decided to go self-employed. And then when I started caring about it, that's when I noticed, like, because I was trying to do a video every 2 weeks, and I was checking social media a lot, and I noticed, you know, in 2019, I noticed myself being on social media too much and how it was affecting my mental health and things. It's been a learning curve. I think this year, the way I've dealt with it is like, you just see it's a tool, right? Everything has got pros and cons, right? Technology, smartphones, They're incredibly powerful. The downside is that they're attention harvester. You've got to see it as a resource in the same way everything else is a finite resource. For me, you've got to compartmentalize it. I just like to get up early and do all the screen stuff. I don't want to spend more than 4 hours a day on a screen. Do that all in the early morning, and then social media, just see it as a tool, and it's like, right, go on, make a post, switch it off. If it's on my phone, I've got it in a file called Addict, so I have to open that up and click on the file that says Addict. So every time I go onto social media, it reminds me of like, why am I doing this? Am I doing it as a feeling to make myself feel good, see how many people have liked? Or am I seeing it as a tool to get the message out there? And then, yeah, when I go, I try every day exercise and every day go out in the forest, and I don't bring my phone, I just leave it at home.
In order to stay grounded, you've also got to keep one foot in the dirt. As long as you're keeping one foot in that ultimate sort of basic reality where, like this, then you can have your other foot in the technological world. And I guess that's how you have balance. And also you can sort of separate it as like, why is this nature in the city? Is that the big divide? You know, humans are part of it. Plastic is still million-year-old dead fish. It's still natural, you know, in a way. Even the smartphone is all minerals from the earth. It's still part of it all. It's just too, we've overcomplicated it, I suppose. And ultimately, yeah, always understand where your attention is going.
While you're creating as well, obviously while we've been here, you've taken us for a dip, did a bit of Wim Hof breathing and taken us for a dip. And you mentioned that you meditate, and you sometimes that meditation is that cup of tea in the morning. How do you approach meditation? How do you use it? And do you have any advice for how people can kind of make it part of their day?
I approach it as grounding your attention. Does that make sense? Like hitting the reset button of your mind, detaching from your thoughts. So focusing on the sensations as they arise. Sensation of the breath, sensation of the feelings in your body, sensation of the sounds. And it's just a reset button and a way of detach your thoughts, because most of your thoughts are completely out of your control, but we treat them as if they are real when they just bubble up from the unconscious, and 95% of them are kind of useless. What would I recommend people do? There's a million ways to approach it. I would say mindfulness and meditation, you could say, is quite mainstream these days. I would just say keep it simple, or find a way that works for you. Try and make it somewhat enjoyable. If you're doing it under a grim duty, or if you're doing it for a purpose, then in a way you're not meditating, because you're focusing on the future, because you're doing it for a reason. When actually it should be the most pointless thing ever, because it has no direction, because future is an illusion and past is an illusion, ultimately. I would say get into Alan Watts. He's a really great philosopher. He's got some more fun ways of approaching meditation, where it's a bit more playful. He describes it as like riffing with the eternal now, grooving with the eternal present. So that's a more fun way to approach it, I'd say, rather than, you know, thinking that you have to be a monk.
It's like meditating at a minute.
Deep in contemplation.
And what are you contemplating?
Well, I thought if you were going to ask me about my work, I was trying to think of the simplest way to sum it up. If I had to sum up all of the stuff I'm doing, so making the videos and teaching, you could sum up in one word, would be grounding. And I ultimately think what I'm interested in is basically the human experience. What does it mean to be human? And it's ultimately what I'm interested in is self-mastery, self-understanding. And what bushcraft survival and martial arts does is it just cuts all the fluff, cuts all the stuff that we attach onto being human, and it's just simplifying it right down.
Let's just start from the start. How did you meet Tom?
I've been teaching Scottish culture and history from the perspective of very short, sharp, easy things for tourists. And there was no real depth there. And I think it was Tom that offered me the chance to teach that depth. Like, actually teach sword fighting. Don't just be an angry, hairy guy in the background impressing tourists, but actually engross people in various martial arts, but specifically the Scottish broadsword, which I'd spent 10 years of my life training in at that point.
What is it you enjoy about creating and play within weapons-based martial arts?
Frankly, I think it's where the most fun lies. Like, I'm sure lots of other people, including Tom and other martial arts instructors, will say pay attention to when you're having the most fun. Not just fun, but when you're having fun in a way that the activities become intrinsically meaningful to you. Like, you've spent 15 minutes doing the same thing and you didn't notice the time go by. Pay attention to those, because that's your brain telling you that you're learning optimally, as fast and as efficiently as you can learn. Even in a serious drill, you find a set of parameters and you push those parameters and see what happens. If you've done martial arts training, you've done systems of drills, you've done solo forms, you're never really going to integrate that into yourself unless you start to use them in a form of play.
What would you say is your favourite style to film?
When I was getting taught, you were just taught to be one way. Angry, scary, hairy Highlander. Put on this face and never smile. And fight with, bloodthirsty aggression in every single strike. So that was my comfort zone for a long time, even though I was just this little skinny, 16, 17-year-old, But I've pulled away from that a little bit. And instead, I like coming across in the fights as something a bit more technical, something a bit more slowed down. Because I think swords can look cool. I think they look cool. And if I was to do a fight, I would want it to look cool.
So if someone was brand new to weapons-based martial arts, what advice would you give to them to get started?
Find a teacher, find training partners, find a book, find videos. Practice a lot, but don't practice things that are so far out of your capability that it's just chaos. Figure out what the fundamentals for the style that you want are, and don't skimp out on them.
So what's this last few days been like for you?
It's been good fun. It's been hard work. This has been perfect. I think we all do. I needed a break. And to come and do something like this, where I'm practicing the skills that mean a lot to me, with people who are very like-minded and who I really enjoy the company of. I'm in a wonderful space where I can just switch off, feel exactly what I wanted, feel exactly what I needed. And I'd like to do this more, because I think we could all use something like this.
What's your favourite part of the creating process?
Favourite part?
Being told to do it again and again by someone that's recording you.
Yeah, I know, falling over in the mud 20 times. The bit I get most excited about is when the idea is first appearing, to be honest. Sort of takes over you. That's what I sometimes feel. Inspiration, it's almost like a drug or a parasite that takes over your brain and controls you until it's finished. And then it's cool when it's finished, but often I tend to hate my videos just before I release them because I spent so many hours editing them. So yeah, it's somewhere between the beginning and the middle that I enjoy it the most. I often hate it by the end. Most memorable moment? The first thing that comes to mind was that first Highlander overnight, which was the video that changed my life, I suppose. And when I was filming it, I remember sitting in front of the fire and thinking, oh, wouldn't it be cool to run courses where I did this? Taught people how the Highlanders used to survive. And I remember thinking that's never gonna happen. Or if it's gonna happen, that's gonna be 20, 30 years down the line. And then it was a year and a half later, I was teaching my first one.
This is the part of the story where I have an insightful and inspiring evaluation. building on what Tom has said and using it as a catalyst to flow into his finished video. But I can't. Well, okay, maybe I can't isn't exactly true. Obviously I can, but although I love making films, writing just isn't my forte. The whole reason I'm doing this narration is because I was inspired by Tom and Ben's ability to detach from their destructive thoughts, not letting it spoil their creation, to pay attention to when they're having the most fun and learn without realising. So, here we go. Inspired by both of these guys, I'm going to stop overthinking what I'm writing down, stop worrying that I'll come across like some cheesy, fake wannabe, and just do it, because it's only a small part of what I love to obsess over, and to not create would be so much worse.
Ready and action.
What is it that keeps you effortlessly engaged? The thing that you'll gladly give your time to, using all the detail and nuance within as fuel for your evolving knowledge. Yes, giving it the time you want to may be scary. Taking a risk to step away from safety, from practical repetition, into the unknown void of following a dream. But if you take anything from Tom's story, I think it should just be to go out and do it. It could be filming a fire, crafting a staff, sharpening your skin do, building, breaking, making, baking, growing, playing, whatever it is. If it puts a smile on your face, then go do it. Okay, I'll let Tom finish.
You only live once. Your time and attention is all you have. May as well fill it with the stuff that you love, even if it's scary, but actually boredom is just as bad. So may as well be slightly on the edge of anxiety rather than in stagnation.
Stuff in there for sure.
Life can be anxious. Time can be boring. We are either dying or we're growing. This is the story of primordial tools used to play life's basic rules. Regain the balance. Feel the flow. This is the way of the staff and bow.
Well, you know, you will never keep your monetization after this video.